Hey guys, it's been a while since I made this video, which became outdated after just 1 week. I promised to do a follow-up. So for all of them, for you Pyro, for you, and for you watching now, this is the story of the greatest speedrunners in Cryosphere. Now, Cryosphere is not a game that is popular when it comes to speedrunning. I mean, it really doesn't make it easy for casuals. Like, you have an absolute buggy engine, game crashes, graphical glitches, and a god-awful performance. Okay, it's not that bad. But, of course, there was a niche group of people that still decided to speedrun this game. In 2016, nearly 3 years after the first run, there were still just 5 people on the official leaderboards. Nearly 10 years later, 100 people joined them. What happened? In the 8th of August 2017, a new world record set by the runner Bernard T, outperforming the other 6 runners by a lot. He completed the game in 1 hour, 10 minutes and 25 seconds. Now the question is that time good? And how do you even speedrun this game? An average playthrough may take you 4 to 10 hours, and the game also encourages you to complete it under 2.5 hours for the camera unlockable. As we see by the 1 hour difference, it's easy. But even if we compare it with the first speedrun ever, it's still 13 minutes. So how do you save so much time in such a game? You easily get under 2 hours when you exactly know where to go and just walk through the game. And you get under 1.5 hours by really trying to go a bit faster and running, which the first runner did, the entire game. But to be even faster, they found a very unique mechanic: dodge jumping. When dodging and immediately jumping afterwards, you get launched and you can even jump continuously to B-hop. Remember? Half-Life 1 engine? Now, dodge jumping and B-hopping are very hard, and it's obvious that no one was really good at it at this moment. But they also began to find loopholes in the gameplay and shortcuts on the maps. For example, instead of climbing down ladders and wasting minutes over the entire game at this animation, they just drop down and take a syringe afterwards. There's also one smart shortcut which I think is really worth mentioning here, and that's this roof section. Instead of going all the way around and having to climb 2 ladders, you can jump across from here to get to the cutscene. The game doesn't intend you to be there. That's why Sophie's awkwardly standing there, waiting for the cutscene to start, which happens after you touch this specific spot, because there is a trigger which activates the cutscene. And of course, using Simon's book also made you much faster, as it's just completely overpowered. With all this in mind, we now know that there are elements to speedrunning this game and that it requires a lot of skill and patience to do so, especially when a run takes you more than 1 hour. 2 months after Bernard T's record, a new runner came along, submitting his first ever run to the leaderboards and instantly getting the world record. His name? Nixie Shot. This guy got the world record in the no unlockables category, in which none of these things in this room can be used. And 1 day later, he also beat Bernard T, getting the world record in the any percent category as well. In just 2 days, Nixie appeared and took both world records. He then went on to beat his own record 3 more times and stay on the top for over 2 years. Nixie Shot was completely dominating the entire speedrunning scene of this game, literally holding the world record in every single category, whilst only 2 other people managed to beat the previous record of Bernard T. And I just want to clarify the fact that it has been 2 years since that record happened. So, how did he manage to scrape off so much more time? Well, In a very short and compressed form, tricks, skips, and optimization. Let's quickly go through these 3 points, shall we? Starting with the tricks. And the first trick is about the keybinds. He used the command inventory use to make certain keybinds, which allow him to use any item in his inventory without going into it. For some of you that watched 1 or 2 speedruns, this trick is the reason for this red text appearing at the bottom. And the second trick is in this wheelchair section, in which you can press the W key in a specific timing to hit more movement frames, instead of just holding down the button.
Oh, he's actually wheelchair min-maxing. What does that even mean? Like, he's sweating in a wheelchair. That's crazy.
On to the skips. And the first one is in the apartments. You can access a door here through the ceiling, which immediately puts you on the 4th floor and skips like 40% of the apartment's gameplay. You even skip getting this gun, and it's incredibly easy to do so. The second skip is at this park section, which has this statue puzzle, but instead of moving them, you jump onto them and just hop over this wall. Touch the load trigger by jumping off this plank and returning to the game layout by interacting with this door. And lastly, optimization. Which sounds self-explanatory, but there's actually something to say here. You see, when speedrunning Cry of Fear, you want to be as smooth as possible, because there's this stamina bar, and b-hopping makes it empty in like 5 seconds. So you really gotta manage it well. You need to know when to hop and when to save up for a moment. For example, the park skip definitely needs 2 hops and another bit here. So let's say you fail the skip cause you suck. You gotta wait for the recharge. And you never want the stamina going on 0 cause Simon just dies. So optimizing the stamina and the route is also a major factor, and Nixie improved in those so goddamn quickly. Now, you could also argue that he was only dominating because there was no real competition. I mean, speedrunning this game was basically a dead idea back then. A run was submitted like once per month and no one bothered to really try anything special here. But Nixie was the first one to really dive deeper into this game. Hence he was so ahead of everyone else. His newest record nearly garnered him 40k views, and more people began to see what may be possible in this game. Which also meant that more competition was on the way. 19th of August 2019. A new idea was revealed. Involving this TV in the apartments, the re-entering of the apartments in chapter 4, and this box in the forest. And it's all thanks to these 3 guys. Now, I will get a bit technical here, but don't worry. It will be easy to understand, I promise. So, in this game, the AI of the enemy is able to interact with other stuff in the world. An example of this would be the AI accidentally killing each other when trying to swing at you. Now, that's still fairly logical, right? But the AI is also able to start a item cutscene trigger by punching it. So, instead of putting the tape into the TV to start a cutscene, this woman just punches the TVs to activate the same cutscene. Which means we don't need the tape item anymore, and therefore we never have to go into the basement. The re-entering of the apartments works in the same way. We need 2 ladders to go inside and outside. By having this guy punch here, we just duplicate the ladders, and we won't need to collect the second ladder, which is located in the basement. Yeah, we pretty much completely cancelled this basement. Last one is this box, which needs the scissors as an item trigger for this little event. And yeah, it's the same thing, right? I think you get it by now. This new finding was a major turning point, and even led to Nixie getting overtaken for the first time in 2 years. Darla was a runner that got inspired by Nixie's world record to grind the game himself and get to a top spot. And he succeeded in that, getting the world record by being the first one to capitalize on this new AI exploit, and being the first one to actually beat Nixie Shot in over 2 years in any category, standing at 1 hour, 1 minute and 25 seconds. Now, if any of you follow any kind of speedrunning community with like any game out there, you know that it's always very exciting when it comes to hitting certain milestones. Like getting below 7 minutes in Minecraft, or getting below 4 minutes and 40 seconds in Outlast, or getting below 1 hour in this case. And they were very close to it. In fact, after this run from Darla on the 19th of August 2019, we were just 6 days away from the first ever sub 1 hour run. And it was none other than Nixie Shot. Nixie has completed the game in 58 minutes and 37 seconds, which is actually pretty mind-boggling when you keep in mind that this is 3 minutes faster than this, and 5 minutes faster than his previous record. Now, when comparing the runs, you don't actually notice a lot, aside from Darla dying one single time in this nightmare section. But this death just lost around 20 seconds. The other 3 minutes were just collected over the entirety of the run, by just having the better movement. And this is a trend that will show up time and time again, as all the skips and tricks are really good and save a bunch of time. But the biggest time save is just doing as little mistakes as you can and moving as quickly as you can through the entirety of the game. So, even when Darla secured the world record with this new trick, which saved an enormous amount of time, Nixie was able to just get it back in a matter of days, as his skills were just that much ahead of everyone else. Now, in a previous video that I made, I said, as this is his personal best until this very day, he decided to leave the speedrunning scene on a high note. And this was wrong, because he did stop running this specific category, but he didn't actually stop yet. A lot more people joined in on speedrunning this game, trying to beat Nixie in all the records he has set. In the months leading up to 2020, Nixie was losing out some of his world records. First the Manhunt category to Ray, then the Doctor Story and No Unlockables category to Darla. From the initial 5 out of 5 world records, he dropped down to 2, equal to Darla's 2 world records. It was quite clear that Darla was the one that was catching up to Nixie. But Nixie decided to leave the speedrunning community on a high note. 11th of December 2019. He got a time of 58 minutes and 28 seconds, which is 9 seconds faster than his any percent world record from a few months ago. Now, 9 seconds don't really sound like a lot, but wait till you realize that this was done in any percent and this in No Unlockables. A category that plays out completely different from any percent. Instead of burning everything with a book and killing bosses in like 2 seconds, you gotta maneuver around enemies and strategize the usage of specific guns and ammo, fighting bosses with knives, rifles and so on. On average, a No Unlockables run is around 1 minute slower than a any percent run. So how was Nixie this much faster, despite avoiding this skip and taking a lot longer to beat the bosses in this game? It took me some time to investigate it, because in actuality, this No Unlocks run was not really faster. In fact, it was around 40 seconds slower than the any percent run. The reason? Host frame rate. A command that speeds up the game by any number you put in. For example, this is host frame rate 1, and this is host frame rate 100. This command is generally forbidden when running the game, for obvious reasons, but it was used to fast forward the unskippable cutscenes in this game, which is understandable. It sucks to watch cutscenes for 1000 times. But what happens with the timer? Isn't it basically cheating? The answer is yes, it is. And the timer in the game also goes faster when you are using host frame rate. With one exception: cutscenes. Cutscenes usually stop the timer altogether, and Nixie used the command on 2 occasions. First in the train cutscene, then the doctor cutscene. One of those 2 cutscenes had to be the mistake, so I calculated the time usage of both cutscenes and compared it to the other run. And it came down to this cutscene being the one that saved Nixie so much time. Because this cutscene seems to not really pause the timer, and not accelerate with the host framerate command, which is really just speculation here from my point, but the time save nearly hits it perfectly. Without host framerate, this cutscene is around 45 seconds long, which is around the actual time difference between these two runs. Of course, no one noticed this or knew anything about it. The rules were also just much lighter back then. I mean, there was a runner called Kyanite, or Ruby, that verified his own run with a 6 seconds clip of the stat screen. Aside from the cutscenes and the timer being weird, the timer also just disappears sometimes when the game is bugged. Clearly this was not something that you could be counting on, which is like the worst thing ever for speedrunning. Which is also the reason that despite the enormous amount of views Nixie garnered with Cry of Fear speedruns, people just barely came to try speedrunning themselves. Nixie stopped speedrunning this game altogether after this run, still sitting on 3 world records. After a few months in the beginnings of 2020, he lost one of those world records to Darla once again, as Darla continued to play and improve even further. He got the world record time down to a 57:04. No new tricks or skips, just pure optimization of the game. Nearly 1 year later, in December of 2020, Nixie also lost his no unlockables record to Arceus, a runner that also took the any % world record from Darla earlier in the year by around 40 seconds. The time saves have gotten a lot smaller. It's obvious that during this time it was very hard to nail down the time even more, and with the low player count, there really wasn't many major improvements in the following years. But speedrunning has this reoccurring theme of just dying out for a long time and suddenly booming out of nowhere. Mostly because someone was just cooking up something which made the community thrive again. And Cry of Fear is no exception to this. This is Burner T. You may remember him from earlier on in the video. After 5 years, he is down to the 13th spot on the leaderboard. And this is Rigi87, a Ukrainian average guy that decided to speedrun this game at the 3rd of May 2021, getting himself a run of 1 hour, 9 minutes and 18 seconds, which gives him the 11th position on the leaderboard. Much like all the other runners here, one of his favorite games is Cry of Fear, and he got inspired by the top runners to speedrun himself. 2 days later, he improved himself by 1.5 minutes and got into the top 10, which doesn't even sound so bad anymore with 26 people on the leaderboard. Still 11 minutes away from the world record though. After getting into the top 10 with 2 runs, he decided to disappear for 4 months, before returning in September with a big 5-minute improvement, and this time gave him the 9th position on the leaderboard. And then, he disappeared again for over 5 months. One day, on the 22nd of May 2022, he was just opening his YouTube page and saw a Cry of Fear video pop up. Cry of Fear any % in... Wait a minute! 52 minutes and 17 seconds? Darla has returned and set the newest world record, being over 3 minutes quicker than the world record holder before. This came out of nowhere. It was completely dead for 2 years and suddenly we get this huge time drop. What happened? When checking the run out, we instantly notice this. A little tool with a timer running even when pausing the game, and a functioning live split that stops when the game is in cutscenes and loads, fixing the host framerate timing issues altogether and being much more consistent and fun to practice with. This is something that Darla has been cooking up and was now presenting to the entire speedrunning community. We can also see 2 new things in this run. First, this new skip for the roof, dodging up the slope, which is way harder. This was found by Guitar and was used by Darla for the first time in a proper run. And secondly is this train skip. Now, I watched the reaction of Pyrocynical to my last video when this train skip came up. Train, which skips this...
What? You can't do that.
In which he dodge jumps this slope up.
You can't jump out the train, you die instantly.
It's fair enough that Pyrocynical thinks this, as jumping down in this roof section also kills you. Now, a little fun fact. This blue trigger doesn't kill you. It just teleports you to a room that has a red trigger, which does 500 damage per second. And the game puts a fade here so you can't see the teleportation. Now, when we compare that to the train sequence, there's just no trigger at all here, so nothing happens. These new skips and the implementation of the life split has saved over 3 minutes of time, with the previous record being a 55:50 and now being a 52:17. This sparked some life back into the speedrunning scene of this game, as well as Riggy. We are in August of 2022. Onto the 5 categories that we know, one was added. Actually, it was there since the beginning, but no one wanted to run this, as it nearly forbids any kind of glitch or shortcut that was found. But it got some love in the past few years from these two guys. The runner Foya holds the world record here, as well as the world record in co-op. The world record in Manhunt still belonged to Ray. The No Unlockables record was held by Sin Dark Fates, and the Doctor's Story as well as the Any Percent category are held by Darla. During this time, Riggy was 14th in the Any Percent category. Now, I don't know what happened to Riggy, but he just woke up. After a break of nearly 1 year, he just returned and went from his initial 1-2-34 to a 53-26, just casually jumping from 14th to 2nd. And this was just the start. 22nd of August 2022, he took the world record in the No Unlockables category. 26th of August, the second guy to ever get a sub 53 in Cryofear. 28th of August, getting the world record in the Any Percent category as well, by 5 seconds. Contain this man already. Okay, just kidding. Riggy has improved a lot, but he was also taking advantage of the life split and new stuff that came from Darla's run. Both his world records only lasted for 1 month before Arceus took both of these away again. Going into 2023, the world record was a 52:01 by Arceus. In actuality, there was a world record of 50:59 by the runner Dungeon Billy. But for some reason, the runner deleted their account, so this piece of history is deleted from the website. I will continue to stick to the website, but I thought this would be a good honorable mention. 6th of January 2023. The day that completely changed Cryofear speedrunning. A runner by the name of WinoCM has found the most impactful glitch that was ever found in this game. And we call it the water glitch. The water glitch is done by going into this basement when the apartment is flooded. And you can swim to this door. And when you get on top of it, you did it. What did it do? Well, when you get out of the water again, you will no longer have an animation when jumping. Why? No clue. But what I do know is that when you are jumping with water glitch, the stamina stands still. This basically meant that you have pretty much infinite stamina for the entire last half of the game. This glitch instantly moved the goalpost of this game so much higher than it ever was before. WinoCM went on to take the world record in No Unlockables with the help of the glitch that he himself has found. And a old runner that was only second to Nixie back then, now returned and set the first time to beat with this new glitch, a 49:15. His legendary words may be remembered. Only 1 day later, Riggy also came back and got the Any Percent world record by another 30 seconds, as well as a No Unlockables record a few days later. Riggy was completely dominant here. He was just able to execute the tricks flawlessly and he was improving so quickly in terms of movement. And I'm not even kidding. Riggy was so consistent with this skip that the community started calling it the Riggy skip. But Kyanite wasn't gonna let Riggy off so easily. In fact, they were just starting something very special. 24th of May 2023. The beginning of what I like to say, the boom period of the speedrunning community. At this day, Kyanite beat the world record of Rigi by 7 seconds. And for some reason, the video of this run completely blew up on YouTube. Kyanite improved again in one of his live streams a few days later and got a run of 48 minutes and 25 seconds. Though he only got that time through sheer luck. And I'm not even joking. Cry of Fear has RNG. Luckily, not that much though. But I'm talking about this Doctor boss fight, as his action sequences are based on randomness. And instead of explaining it to you, I'm just gonna show you. So this is the boss fight in Kyanite's run.
You're dead! You're so fucking dead! I'm actually gonna get the doctor. And let's see how much time I save. Oh my god. What is this time save?
And this was the boss fight in my run. You can't really do much about this, only hope that he doesn't completely screw you over. The only thing that we found out to improve this boss fight is by using this gun instead of the Glock, as it does more damage. But how do we do that when the gun is empty? And getting it through the doctor would change the ending of the game, which is bad.
Wait, what? Huh?
Well, do you remember how we used keybinds to use items from the inventory? We can do the exact same thing, but instead use the command inventory drop, which means that we can drop something out of the inventory without opening it. How's this useful? Well, when we talk to the doctor, we can give him the gun, and while Simon is handing it over, we can press the keybind which drops the weapon on the floor. Which means we can just pick it up again and use it in the boss fight. Rigi, of course, the absolute gangster that he is, sees this and doesn't care. He was instead busy just beating his own no-unlocks record by another 2 minutes, before also taking the any percent world record with a 48:11. And this run also completely blew up on YouTube. I think it's the highest viewed speedrun of this entire game, correct me if I'm wrong. Now, this is a bit more personal, because in this time window, I started to join the speedrunning community myself. And with this algorithm boost, it's no surprise that a lot more people came in flooding the community. Of course, this didn't happen instantly on day one. It was a thing that happened over time. That's why I like to do a little time skip here. March 2024. The any percent world record hasn't changed one bit from last year. So Rigi still held the record here, but lost it in the no unlockables category to Alex Magnum. The other categories didn't change all too much in this time period, aside from Steve getting the record in no major glitches. We are also starting to be in a time where more and more people have more knowledge about this game that actually helps everyone. For example, turning off water shader in this game reduces the crashing chance by a lot and fixes the graphical glitches completely. There's also some new stuff that was found. Firstly, turning down the frame rate in the wheelchair section makes you go even faster. And secondly, thanks to the water glitch, you can go through the maze so fast in a specific route that you never crash into one of these things. Aside from the very end of the maze, if you are not fast enough, you won't be here before that. Which means you have to slowly follow him to the end. Kyanite found this and it's called the fast maze, or maze skip. It doesn't sound so bad, but it's incredibly difficult to do. You can barely allow yourself any kind of mistake as it would instantly destroy the chance to succeed here. Good. Now we are properly updated. 15th of March 2024. Kyanite returned and went for a de-rusting run after taking a long break from the game. His best result from the stream was a 48:55, just 30 seconds behind his previous best run. 2 days later, he streamed again and was on world record pace. But he failed. Not only once, not twice, but thrice. Just kidding, he died a 4th time as well.
Oh, good. I'm done. I am actually so...
These were all very frustrating deaths, as they happened closer to the end of the game. But Kyanite decided to stream once again 1 day later. he streamed for another 5 hours, getting a run in of 48 minutes and 18 seconds, just 7 seconds behind the world record. And he continued onward to try and somehow get below that time of Riggy. And at this point, I would just let the run speak for itself.
Just about. Please. Please do not mess up. Holy shit, that was so good. Don't jinx it, guys. Don't jinx it. Oh, I'm freaking out. Come on, just get this world record, dude. Please, just don't kill me. One more time, please, 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 please. Come on, come on, come on, come on. No, please, 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 please. No, please, 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 I beg of you. Holy shit, that's so clean. 14 seconds. We are so back. 14 seconds to throw, it's fine. Oh no. I cannot move. I am...
You couldn't make this shit up. Kyanite was so unlucky. And to make matters even worse, Riggy went ahead and lowered the record even more down to a 48:02. And right on that day, Kyanite streamed once again. And maybe this time, he could do it.
That should be pretty good. Ah, slow up. My heart is beating. Sounds are beginning to disappear. Please do not crash. It works. What? What happened? Sub 48.
Kyanite was finally able to beat Riggy after an entire week of grinding. Doing so whilst his rival himself is in the chat, telling him that he won't give up. And Kyanite said,
Yeah, now it's your turn to beat me, Riggy.
oh, and he did. One day later, Riggy got a 47:50. Another 2 days later, Riggy got his no unlockables record back from Alex Magnum. Riggy was now sitting on both world records once again. In the beginning of April, both of them streamed and one-upped each other every time. First Kyanite with a 47:28, then Riggy with a 47:27, and before Kyanite could even respond to that, Riggy went full on beast mode.
46:39. It can't be real, bro. It can't be real.
Now, this run was actually the best one to the date of my last video. Riggy was on top of the two most important categories, being over a minute ahead of anyone else in both of them, which is completely insane. Riggy, Kyanite, Darla, Arceus and Nixie all of them played for years and dominated the leaderboards in their respective times. So, what comes after? This is Joa230, a guy that joined the speedrunning community on the 29th of February 2024, submitting a run of 1 hour and 58 seconds. 4 days later, he improved to a 56:41. Another 8 days later, he improved again to a 54:17, already getting to the top 10 in a matter of 12 days. He was definitely improving very fast in comparison to any other runner in this leaderboard. But this was only the beginning. Another 2 weeks later, Joa submitted a run of 50 minutes and 34 seconds, instantly planting him into the top 3 after just playing for a month. Keep in mind that during this time, Riggy and Kyanite had their battle in the top 1 and 2, whilst Joa was now creeping onto them in the 3rd spot. But nowhere near the skill that both of them had. There was just a huge gap between them two and the rest of the field. But Joa was still improving really fast. Another week later, he got down to a 49:49. Another week passes, 49:19, 49:06, 48:44, 48:13. This run made him actually get very close to Kyanite. He was catching up to him so fast, but Riggy was so far away with this beast of a run. Joa still went on to practice a lot, getting his first world record in the no major glitches category by being 13 minutes faster and getting a sub 48 to continue catching up to Kyanite and defend his top 3 spot, which many people were chasing after. Now, there was actually nothing that happened for 2 months, aside from me getting the world record in dodge. We are in August 2024, just 1 day after I uploaded my video. Kyanite came back to streaming, so I thought it was funny to challenge him to beat his own PB with a donation. And he did! Now, do you remember how Kyanite got beaten twice before by just 1 second? Guess what happened 1 day after this stream? Now, they have been talking about beating each other again and fighting for the second spot, with Kyanite saying,
"Give me 2 weeks."
which just gives in perspective to how unbeatable Rigi seemed at this time. Still being the only one to have a sub 47, and Joa was now trying to get there as well. Just 2 days later, on the 14th of August 2024, Joa got a run of 46 minutes and 33 seconds. Wait. This run made my video completely outdated after just 5 days. Anyway, I think we all know Rigi by now. So...
Joa?
Yep, that was his response. Taking the world record back after 2 days and beating himself another 2 times down to a 45-45. Breaking another minute barrier all by himself. Now, there were some small new things introduced, and we are talking really small. A few examples are dodging down a small slope and hopping instead of just normally hopping, which saves you the stamina of jumping to just have more stamina overall. Or dodge jumping into this vent to have a lot more speed when hopping through it instead of doing it normally. And of course, the DRSM skip, where you have to go to 4 FPS for a moment because this trigger makes the wall open up for a tiny moment before closing it again. And with 4 FPS, you can delay the action of the trigger whilst your character is moving at the same speed. This is a high risk skip which could end up in being softlock in this wall. All this led to the 45-45 run.
Let's go! GG!
Which was Rigi's answer to Joa taking his world record. And Rigi did all that in just 2 weeks. Joa was now second again, being 48 seconds behind Rigi, whilst also losing his no major glitches record to SESW. Now, just keep in mind, Joa beating Kyanite by 1 second, then beating Rigi's world record, and then Rigi getting it back and tripping down on it, all this happened in just 1 month. Throughout September, Joa was trying to scratch back at the world record spot, but couldn't get it so quickly as before. After his run of a 45-57, Joa went quiet for some time. 10th of October 2024, Joa returned and uploaded 3 videos onto his channel at the very same time, beating Rigi in no unlockables and any percent at the same time, which makes it the first time in over a year and a half that Rigi has no world record to his name. Joa was now over a minute ahead in no unlockables and 8 seconds ahead in any percent. During this time, a bounty was set by Kyanite and me for the first ever sub 45. Whoever would get the first ever sub 45 gets $100. This unironically felt way too hard at the time and pretty much impossible, and I made a post about it, expecting for it to take a while, with Joa himself saying that it's gonna take 5 years, and this guy was totally not believing it. And yeah, maybe the goalpost was very high. Joa and Rigi went for it and traded world records again and actually came closer to it, but they had no clue how to save another 17 seconds. Until they did. 1st of November 2024. A run that was going very smoothly for Joa. Although he was bleeding out some time and lost a lot here at the water glitch, he still regained it afterwards. And actually broke the sub 45 goal despite losing so much time. but he was able to pull through the newest tricks that were found. Let's go through them. When calling with Sophie, you are usually locked into position and you can't move, which makes it an unskippable scene in this game, as it is a game event. This is also why the timer continues to run. Now, they found a way to somehow get around this by jumping into the car here. You are in the air, not touching the ground as you are squeezed between the wall and the car. By jumping to the car, you also touch the trigger that makes Sophie call you, and you can only pick up when you are standing still with the phone in hand. Now, when you are squeezed, you need to press the key for this phone dial menu, and quickly call the Easter egg police number. You will then drop to the ground and it will play the same animation again for picking up a call because of Sophie. Which means 2 calls are now overlapped with the same event type, but as the Easter egg call ends, you get out of the animation and you can walk again, whilst the call is still happening in the background. 2 very important things are to do here. First, leave this guy alive, because you need him to open the door via the same AI trick as the TV one. And second, you need to hold the phone in your hand at all costs until the dialogue is over and you get the animation for ending the call again. Otherwise, your character will be forever in the event state of the phone call, in which you can't interact with any door or item of the game. That's why we need this guy to open the door for us. This trick seems so big and complicated, but it sadly really doesn't, as you need to wait anyway until the phone call event ends to interact with anything. You just get the advantage to stand in the garden somewhere instead of here. The next trick is similar to the fast maze, instead being fast doors. All these doors are timed as soon as you touch this trigger, and if you are fast enough when hopping through here, you will get there in time to hop through every door without having to wait. This last trick is actually very important. When your stamina is completely empty and you use a syringe, it will fill up, and when you are using up your stamina instantly by running, the stamina actually won't go down for a short amount of time. Same thing applies to this water section. When the stamina bar is empty and you take a syringe, you can hold down shift underwater to get as much boosts as possible. All this and the huge amount of optimization led to this. Joa won $100 with this run and decided to split it 50-50 with Riggy, as Riggy also put a lot of effort and time into the game. Stuff like this is honestly really wholesome and awesome. You really have people here that just enjoy the game like it is and especially enjoy the community around it. The following months were completely dominated by these 2 guys, going back and forth and one-upping each other, as they realized with the 44-59 run that there was so much optimizing still left to do, and we could actually even maybe, just maybe, look forward to a sub 44 in the future. 1st of January 2025. After a back and forth for a while, it came down to Riggy holding the record at this day, a 44-15. A run that has similar speed as the Joa run from before, but without any of the mistakes that Joa did, and some small improvements. So, Riggy held the record here, and he also took the no unlockables record back a few days ago. So the 2 most important categories are once again under his belt. Joa had run a lot of different categories in the meantime, getting him the co-op and manhunt world record, as well as the no major glitches one, which he lost again to SW a few days later. And the doctor mode was still under my. Not much else has been found in recent times. Projects such as BXT are a small hope for speedrunners to be even faster, as this game just has restrictions that prevent you from being as fast as you can, such as the stamina and the B-hop cap, which is one of those words that makes them get really bad PTSD, as the B-hop cap is one of the most annoying things when speedrunning this game. To explain it shortly, the maximum speed is around 510. When you reach that speed and touch the ground once, you will be forced back to 330 speed. Even when you dodge jump and your timing was so good, you will get forced back to 330. Do a good dodge jump here, but be too fast, and you die. With something like BXT, this is removable, which surely makes the experience a lot better, as well as this beautiful thing down here. But this is a thing for the future. For now, nothing else is left than optimization. And we got two guys here being insanely good at that. Just a few months later, Joa returned and took 3 world records back. First, no major glitches, then no unlockables, and lastly, of course, any percent. And getting the first ever sub 44 in the same process. Remember how no one really believed that even a sub 45 was possible? And now Joa did a sub 44 and sits on 4 world records. Back then, Joa was trying to catch up to Riggy whilst it seemed impossible to beat him. And now, it has seemingly turned around. But on the 1st of May 2025, Riggy came back one last time, showing why he's one of the greats by getting the world record in any percent, with a 43.38.